Welcome to Beta Online Learning. NIOS Secondary 10th Grade Course Psychology, Module 2, Basic Psychological Processes. In this video, we are going to see the topic Sensory Processes, Attention and Perception. The major subtopics in this video: sensory processes, the 5 senses; sensation, difference threshold and absolute threshold, the definitions; perception, stages of perception; attention, extrasensory perception or ESP; applications of perception in everyday life. These are the major subtopics. Now let us go into the video. First of all, we'll see sensory processes, the 5 senses. The purpose of describing sensory receptors, attention and perception is to familiarize you with the way our sense organs collect information and how it is processed by our brain. We have 5 sense organs: eyes, ears, nose, skin, tongue, through which we acquire information. The 2 functions of our senses, they are survival and sensuality. Colors do not really exist out there in the objects. Rather, our world of color is a product of sensory and perceptual processes of brain. Next, we shall see sensation. Sensation is a process by which neutral impulses are created by stimulation of sensory neurons. Neurons are nerves that carry messages to the brain. Here, that results in the awareness of conditions inside or outside the body. The sensory system processes information reaching to the brain. The motor systems process information going out of the brain to the muscles and glands. They cause the movements based on the senses. Difference threshold and absolute threshold. Difference threshold. The smallest difference between 2 stimuli, the plural of stimulus is stimuli. More than one stimulus is called stimuli. The smallest difference between 2 stimuli that can be consistently and accurately detected on 50% of trials is called difference threshold. Our sensation is affected by our past experiences and expectations. Absolute threshold is the minimum amount of energy needed to produce a sensory experience. This is called absolute threshold. The minimum amount of energy needed to produce a sensory experience. First of all, it focuses light and an image is formed on the retina. So Isaac Newton discovered that when white light passes through a prism, it separates out into a rainbow of colors, which is known as the visible spectrum, the 7 colors of the rainbow. Vibgyor, violet, indigo, blue, yellow, orange, of course, green, comes there. Vibgyor, green, yellow, orange, and red. Color blindness is a defect, actually, eye defect. It's a partial or total inability to distinguish colors. Most colorblind people have trouble in distinguishing red from green. So there are some difficulty in distinguishing the colors for these people who have color blindness. Hearing, the next type of sensation is through our ear, that is hearing. Sound is created when actions cause objects to vibrate. In fact, vibration of each particle of the object is known as sound. It is created by sound. It is created by these vibrations. Frequency refers to the number of cycles or number of vibrations, oscillations, vibrations a wave completes in a given amount of time. Its unit is hertz, abbreviated as Hz. Pitch is the highness or lowness or the maximum or the minimum that is attained by the sound. That is called pitch. The highness or lowness of the sound. That is determined by the sound's frequency. High pitch is high frequency, low pitch is low frequency. So pitch is related to frequency. Loudness, on the other hand, is the intensity of sound determined by its amplitude. So you can see in this figure that amplitude is the maximum extent it can go to the either side of the zero level. That is, it is either the positive side, that is up and down. We call this up part is called the crest, and the lowest part is called the trough in a wave. And this one complete positive and negative ups and down is called a one cycle or one vibration. Timbre, the quality of sound waves, the complexity is called timbre. It is the quality that characterizes, the quality of sound that characterizes the type of musical instrument, either voice or the type of instrument, stringed, percussion, or wind instrument. Which type of instrument or which it is characteristic to that particular instrument. That is known as timbre. Types of sensations: vestibular sense and kinesthetic sense. These two senses are sense of bodily orientation. It's called vestibular sense, which tells us when we are moving, how our motion is changing. Maybe left to right or right to left or up and down and so on. The body orientation, that is called vestibular sense. Position, body orientation, where kinesthetic, on the other hand, kinesthetic sense is the sense of the body position and the movement of body parts relative to each other, just like moving up, walking, moving forward, backwards, or even bending down, kneeling down, and so on. These are the different, we can take it as postures, positions, and the movements relative to each other parts of the body. Types of sensations, we have other senses. Olfactory sensation. Olfactory sense is the sense of smell through our nose, the odor. We call it as odor or smell. It involves a sequence of biochemical activities that triggers neural impulses, the nerves. Once activated, these neural impulses convey odor information. Odor means smell, information to the brain. Gustatory sense is the taste receptor, the tongue. You can see some of these, this figure, that bitter taste, sour taste, and the tongue is a major thing. The taste buds, these are called. The taste buds on the upper side of the tongue, there are only four true or primary taste qualities: sweet, sour, bitter, and saline. However, there are a few tastes between these two, between the two, that characterizes a certain vegetables and some other types of chemicals which produce such odor, such tastes. A spicy taste is in between. A spicy taste is in between sour and bitter. And it is a combination sometimes of the bitter and sour. Types of sensations, we have a skin, which actually contains nerve endings that are stimulated by contact. The skin sense, this is a touch sense, the sense of touch or the feeling in contact with external objects when it produces, and it produces sensations of cold, warmth, or pressure. When you press on the skin, we feel pain or some extraordinary sensations. Cold or warmth is temperature differences. Pain in the body, pain is actually the body's response to stimulation from noxious stimuli. Noxious are those harmful stimuli that come from external sources by hand pressure or by pinching or applying pressure, beating, and so on. So many other complex stimuli exist in the touch sense. Next, we see what is meant by perception and the stages of perception. The perception refers to the elaboration and interpretation of these sensory experiences. It involves synthesis of simple sensory features into percept of an object that can be recognized. It is governed by our past and present experiences. So it is governed by with our past and present experiences. How do we identify? It helps in identification and recognition, and meaning is assigned to the percept. What happens here? Perception and recognition are combined processes that do not act separately. They are combined. Perceiving something, trying to understand something by our five senses, of course. One of the five senses, the object is being, then you to recognize. These two will take place as a combined process. The stages of perception here, they are depicted by a flowchart as given below. The mental processes governs everything. There are three things: knowledge, expectations, knowledge, and beliefs. The three major things are, on our mental processes, we have expectations. We expect something, that this might be this or that. Knowledge is knowledge about something. These three things combined together. They can identify. The identification and recognition process is being done using these three things. Expectations, knowledge, and beliefs. Once the identification recognition takes place, this actually goes from the inputs come from the environment. Environmental stimulation of objects, maybe air disturbances or vibrations, that the sensory processes activate, causes sensation, organization, that is depth and consistency. Depth, perception, and consistency, and so on. Perceptual synthesis of features, analysis into parts, identification and recognition takes place based on these information collected from these through the senses. Analysis, once it analyzes and then it is collected, this information is collected, and then identification and recognition takes place based on this processes. These are integrated processes. Next, we see attention. Selective attention is a process in which we give priority to a particular incoming sensory message. Attention has broadly three possible functions, like it acts as a sensory filter, response selection, and gateway to consciousness. So attention means we give preference or we give priority to a particular incoming sensory and focus on that. It is also a response selection. We select a particular response and it's a gateway to consciousness. So these three functions are taking place during attention. Determinants of attention. What determines attention? Physical factors like repetition, contrast, shape, size, brightness, and contrast again do affect our attention. The motives also play an important role in shaping our perception. So these are the two things, physical factors and motives. These are the determinants of attention. Next, we have extrasensory perception or ESP. ESP is the ability to perceive objects or events in ways that cannot be explained by known sensory capacities. Parapsychology is the study of ESP phenomena. Rather complex and cannot be explained by known sensory capacities. Events that seem to lie outside the region of accepted scientific laws are called psi phenomena, PSI. The P is silent there. Psi phenomena that lie outside the region of accepted scientific laws. They are not governed by any scientific laws. They lie outside. Something beyond nature. Cannot be explained. It's different from intuition and guessing, of course. It's not that so easy. But there is something that tells us some extra, that's some beyond, that is above. Clairvoyance it is the ability to perceive events or gain information in ways that appear unaffected by distance or normal barriers. So the ability to perceive events, gain information in ways that appear unaffected by the distance and the normal barriers, they do not affect this. This is called clairvoyance. Precognition is the ability to predict or perceive accurately future events. Cognition means understanding or perception. Pre means before and itself. The ability to predict. Before it occurs itself, we are able to predict or perceive accurately the future events. Psychokinesis, the ability to exert influence over inanimate objects by willpower. This is called mind over matter. It is rather a very rare type of characteristic of ESP because trying to control an inanimate object by means of the willpower or mind power, maybe it requires some extra training. It is rather can be explained by psycho synthesis, yoga and other things. Yoga and transcendental meditation is closely related to the psychokinesis in transcendental meditation and yoga, the power of yoga. And some extra spiritual meaning is added to that. Applications of perception in everyday life. Eyewitness testimony, perceptual awareness and positive psychology. The value of paying attention. Your perception is influenced by your past experiences, memory, and expectations. So these are the various applications. Eyewitness testimony is just seeing. By looking at certain things, eyewitness testimony, and we give the perceptual awareness and positive psychology. Positive psychology is giving more positive side. The value of paying attention, your perception is influenced by your past experiences, memory, and expectations. For additional information, to learn more about the different illusions or optical illusions and perceptions and other things, visit this website given here. To learn more about laws of perceptual organization, we have this website. You can visit this website. And that's it. Thanks for watching this video.